Welcome everybody to the Genesis Project Podcast, business principles for beginners from the School of Hardknocks. They say that success leaves clues. In this podcast, we're going to discover the clues that it leaves behind, and we're going to start at the very beginning. We'll get into the weeds of how the guests of the show came up with their business ideas, the why behind their business ideas, how they dealt with setbacks and failures, what keeps them pushing forward, and the emotions behind it all. Everyone wants to start a business, but many are held back by something that keeps them from starting. We'll learn what it takes to get to the next level of business and beyond, and we're learning together through different principles of people who graduated from the School of Hardknocks. So, grab you a pen, some paper, and a highlighter to take notes, because class is in session. Hey, what's up, class? This is the Chancellor Bernard Gleaton. Now, I just want to take a quick minute just to stop by and let you guys know that you need to subscribe, rate, comment, and share so that everyone who wants to become an entrepreneur or who wants to level up as an entrepreneur can get this lesson. Also, make sure that you jump on my email list and my Facebook group for exclusive content. Come on and mix and mingle with my community with other entrepreneurs and create something great. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the classroom and see what our next lesson is with our new guest professor. I will see you guys in the classroom. Welcome everybody to the Genesis Project Podcast. I am the Chancellor Bernard Gleaton, and this is the Genesis Project Podcast, business principles for beginners from the School of Hardknocks. So, as you can see, I am in a different type of background here. If many of you guys have followed me, then you know that I have just moved. Me and Mrs. Chancellor is super ecstatic. I just set up my pictures here that you can see in the background because, I got to set the atmosphere. I got to set the vibe for myself so that I could keep bringing you guys awesome content and just great lessons from great people so that we all could learn together. I reached out to this guy, and I'm not afraid to say that I slid into his DMs. As a matter of fact, he actually liked one of my audiograms, which is one of those clips that I put on Instagram and social media just in general to promote whatever episode that I have playing. And he actually said, "Hey, I like your stuff." And I said, "Oh man, I appreciate you." And I'm assuming we kind of checked into each other because I checked into him, and I'm pretty sure he probably checked into me too. And I like what he had going on, and pretty much just everything that he was talking about. I said, man, I don't think I had anybody come on the show to specifically talk about this topic. And I probably had people kind of circle around this topic, but I think his unique take on it is something that we all can actually get something from it. And let me say that he does identify himself as a brand strategist, a brand identity strategist. So I'm really intrigued to find out what that means. Let me go ahead and welcome into the classroom, Guest Professor Jeremy Mura. Yeah, I think I said it right.
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. Hey, guys. What's up, Bernard? And hey, students. Happy to be on the show, man. Thanks, man. I was really jigging to that intro you had with the music, man. Good vibes, bro. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I seen you vibing. Me seeing you vibe made me vibe even more.
Amazing, bro. So good.
So I want you to go ahead and tell the class a little bit about yourself, and we can go ahead and we can jump into it. Because, man, like I said, I sound really weird for saying this, but we kind of slid into each other's DMs and we got to talking, and it seemed like we was on the same path and mindset and everything like that. So I just want to say that that's in no way to be funny or whatever the kids want to say, no cap, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I get you, man. Well, it's the saying that great minds think alike, so it's just like we connect. But yeah, I just remember seeing your message and I thought it was really cool. And then, for me, I love personally jumping on podcasts and connecting and collaborating with people. So any opportunity to, do it and help others, because I love helping people and teaching people. So yeah, just really takes the opportunity, man. But yeah, 100%. I can talk a little bit about myself. My name is Jeremy. I'm married. I'm currently 26. I'm an Australian, so I'm in Australia, currently living in Sydney, so on the other side of the world for most people. And we don't have kangaroos in the backyard, just to let you know, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm a brand identity designer and strategist in terms of branding. I run my business full-time from home. I'm also a YouTuber. I have online courses, and I have an online academy as well, which I teach designers, how to run a full-time design business. So that's a little bit about me. I also love going to the gym, playing a little bit of games, listening to music, and hanging out with the wife and stuff. So yeah, I'm very interested in many things, but yeah, that's a little bit about me, man.
Man, I really was going to ask something about the kangaroos, but being that you just mentioned it, I'll keep that to myself. And to the class, I just want you guys to know that this brother got up at 7 in the morning just to be on the show, to be in the school of hard knocks, to teach you guys. So, that big ups to you, brother. I appreciate it.
No worries, bro. Anytime.
All right. So, we could go ahead and jump into it, man. Again, I appreciate you for answering the call and for you appreciating the good quality stuff that I'm putting out. So let's get into it. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. All right. So the first question I like to ask all of my guest professors is, what is your Genesis moment? And before you answer that, let me explain to the class what the Genesis moment is. So the Genesis moment is that moment in time where you come into a fork in your road, and you can go right, you can go left. Does it have to be good? Does it have to be bad? It's just what you can see your life being like beyond those first steps. So a good example of a Genesis moment is me starting this show. That's a Genesis moment. Me marrying my wife. That's another Genesis moment. And another Genesis moment is me trying out for the CFL 4 years removed from high school and never playing it down in college. That is a Genesis moment. So with that being said, Guest Professor Jeremy, what is your Genesis moment?
I think that's a great question, man. I think there are many Genesis moments that I've had in my life. But for me, it all started when I was around 21. When I was 18, I had a bad relationship that turned sour, and then ended up in heartbreak. And for about 3 years, I actually turned to drugs and alcohol and sex, and that actually led me down the wrong path. I was partying every weekend. I was smoking weed, doing all that crazy stuff, going clubbing, doing all that stuff. And when I was 21, I came to a point where I was at a friend's 21st birthday, and I was actually on 5 different substances. So I did coke, MDMA, weed. I was drinking alcohol. We went clubbing, and I was up all night the following morning because I had work. So it was just a mess. Anyway, I remember it was at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was lying on this floor, and I started getting chest pains, and I thought I was actually going to die. I thought I was going to drug overdose because I was just on so many drugs and stuff. And then in that moment, I was on the floor. I really made a decision, I remember I prayed to God, and I said, God, get me out of this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I was over this lifestyle. Like, I was always sick and spending my money and had negative friends and hanging with drug dealers, and just like my life was in a dark place, right? And yeah, I just remember saying to God, please give me another chance, get me out of this. And ever since that moment, 2 weeks later, a friend came, invited me to church. And ever since then, my life just completely shifted. And then when I decided to, shift my life from that point where I started hanging out with my friend and went to church and stuff, that's when I decided, I want to live a life of purpose, and I want to live a life to help others, and, run a successful business, and, get married and do all these things, which before I wasn't thinking like that. I was in such a negative mind state. So I'd say that was my Genesis life-changing moment. But, I've had many moments after that, especially when I started my business in 2016. But we can talk more about that if you want. But yeah, that's sort of my big Genesis moment, I'd say. Art is more expressive. It's just, there's no purpose. It's just more of a, like, you're creating something for fun, or, there's no real problem you're solving. But when it comes to design, you're solving a problem, right? So for example, when I create a brand identity for someone, it's the visuals, the look and feel of a brand, or a business. What you're doing is you're creating that, you're helping them build awareness, or build their reputation or build trust with customers. You're helping them maybe convert more on a landing page. Like, so that's what like brand design is. It's all about the look and feel, the essence, the DNA of a brand. And then the strategy is sort of like the things that's pushing the brand forward. So it's like, what's the future desired state? What's our users? What's our goals? What targets are we trying to hit? You know, what's the measure of success? What's our mission? What's our vision? What's our positioning in the market? Those are sort of some things that are involved with strategy. Obviously, it's a big thing, but yeah, it's just about being more strategic when it comes to making design decisions, especially for businesses going online and building a brand.
What's up, class? This is the Chancellor. If you're a coach or an expert or soon to be coach and or expert, the Chancellor is granting you a chance to get a free client getting authority website. You heard me correctly, free. Get a professional design where there's no code, no tech, it's easy to update, and is crafted to convert. You'll probably wonder what's the catch, right? Well, there is none. Our sponsor, Drop Funnels, want to make sure that you get off to an amazing start by creating and giving you a free website. Do you want a free website? Sure you do. Go to genesisprojectpodcast.com/free funnel, and I will see you guys in the hallways.
My follow-up question is, why is it important for businesses to get that piece right? Because as you and I know, we see a bunch of businesses who may be hidden and missing that mark, or just businesses that's just completely off base, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
why is it important, especially for those in the class that's brand new to business or thinking about starting a business? Why is it so important for you to really nail that home?
Yeah, you need to really start at the core. You know what I mean? We all have inner layers and outer layers, and that's sort of like a business, right? If you start with the outer layers, you're not going to really get the strategy right, the goals right, and understand the core of the business. So that's why we always start with why. If you've heard of Simon Sinek, he talks about the golden circle. It's got the inside of the circle is the why, then after that is the how, and then the outside is the what. So you first tackle the why. Why am I here? Why do I exist? Why am I starting a business? Is it just to make money? Is it to, you know, are you having a family? Are you getting married? Do you just want to be, do you want to be rich? You know, do you want to help people? Like, why are you doing a business? Like, you got to really get down to the core of why, and ask that question. And once you understand the why and how and what, so like, what's your business about? What's your offering? Who's your target audience? What's your goals? Once you start to dig deeper, it's going to have a foundation. Because if you build not on a foundation, your business is going to fail and you're going to give up. Because if you don't have that why in the front of your mind, you're not going to keep pushing, because it's like you need that driving factor, and that driving factor is the purpose. And I feel like that's why we need to get that right first. And that's why whenever it comes to building a brand or a brand identity, I always start with the why and the strategy first, and the brand essence. So we really get clear on that.
Are you tired of drowning in a sea of receipts and invoices? Well, it's QuickBooks to the rescue. Their accounting software is like a life raft for small business owners. It helps you stay organized, track your finances, and helps you make smart business decisions. Plus, it's so easy to use, even a sloth can learn it. Not that we're calling you slow, but you know, sloths are notoriously chill. So why wait? Give QuickBooks a try and start selling smoothly through the world of business. Check it out at our resource page at genesisprojectpodcast.com/resources. I think that's awesome, the way that you put it. You know, with that, so you and I off camera, we talked about my website, right?
Yep, we did.
And yeah, I have no problem being just completely candid about it.
Sure.
So I know that within my website there was a certain essence that I was trying to capture, right? that essence of, by me being from Detroit. Detroit is that blue collar community, that blue collar city,
Yep.
the motor city. So I wanted to make sure that Detroit actually comes through, pulls through, right? But
Yep.
I also wanted to show that, because you're starting a business, or thinking about starting a business, we have to get really gritty in the very beginning, right? So I was trying to capture that essence. So when it comes to that essence, how do people go about getting the essence that they want to put out there in the marketplace for their potential customers to look at them and be like, that's the person I want to buy whatever from, right? That's who I'm going to go get my supplies from, or that's going to be my customer. You know what I'm saying? How can we capture those essence? Because I would imagine that if you start a business, you have the why, you have the what, you have the how, but you may not have this particular picture in mind as to how to put it out there, how to portray your brand and your products and things of that nature.
Yeah. So I feel like that's why it's a good investment to get a designer or someone who's a specialist in branding, because that can really help. But to really capture the essence, you really need to understand who is your ideal target audience or your target customer, right? Because when you create a brand or design something, you're not designing for yourself, right? So you might have you just talked about having an essence and you try to capture Detroit, right? But your vision of Detroit is it's in your mind, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's appealing to your customer that you're trying to get, right? So we need to purely be objective when it comes to design and not be subjective, because we have our belief systems and our subjectivities, and we like certain colors and fonts and stuff, right? But we need to really be like, no, I'm not designing for myself as a business owner. I'm not designing as a designer. Like when I'm designing, I don't design for myself. I'm designing purely for the ideal target audience. Who are we targeting? What's our customers' dreams, their desires, their goals, their interests? Where do they hang out? You really need to dive deep into a user persona, which I feel like can really help you be objective, and then start to dive deep into like, okay, how do we capture this essence? And the practical ways on how you can capture is, through typography, which is like different types of fonts. You can use different colors. There's something called color psychology. Color psychology, which is actually, some people think it's a myth, some people think it's not, but obviously color evokes emotion. You can use texturing, you can use photography, you can use layout and spacing, and that's when it starts to get into all the nitty gritty of the design, right? But combining all these elements really help to capture a brand. But yeah, like I hope that helps and makes sense. But within the process, typically for me, like I love doing like a stylescape or a mood board, and that's before jumping into design, because when you do a mood board, you're starting to get a feel for the essence before you start like designing everything and building the website and building a logo and stuff. So that's typically how I would go about doing it.
I love that. All right, what is the difference between Instagram or branding for Instagram versus branding for Facebook, or is it the same?
Well, to be honest, I think it's all the same. Social media is all the same, right? Each of the social media platforms have one goal, right? It's all about community. It's about connecting people, right? So having a brand, you got to think your brand as holistic. It's not just one platform, just a YouTube or Instagram, whatever. It's actually, you got to think in terms of a personal brand, you as a person, right? These days, brands are becoming people and people are becoming brands. And that's why big businesses are working with influencers now and brands. It's such a big market now, and it's going to keep growing in the billions. So for me, it's all the same, but you need to focus on building a personal brand. And that means being consistent on all platforms, having a consistent message, having consistent design elements. That's all what makes up your brand. So don't try and, make it different, but just be consistent. Have the core things. Like, for example, on Instagram, you've got highlights, but Facebook, you don't have highlights, right?
Yeah.
So that means you're going to have to make icons for your highlights, right? For Facebook, you've got a display picture and a banner, right? So you're going to have to design a banner and that for Facebook. And And you can use tools like Canva or PicMonkey, which are free. You don't need to hire someone. But yeah, that's sort of my take on is it the same or not?
Okay. Now I know you have a YouTube channel, but I also know that you are teaching people how to become brand identifiers, right? So for those in the class who wants to start a business in branding, for example, right? What exactly are you teaching in your classes? Your online classes, I should say.
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. So I actually teach for the whole process. So everything from, how to do a discovery session, how to work with clients. I talk about freelancing for beginners. And for me, I focus a lot on beginners because I know a lot of people might not have the same opportunities, or the education is different around the world. So I just like starting with beginners because I find it easier to teach them. But yeah, everything from freelancing, from logo design, from actually crafting a brand identity from scratch, how to work with clients, how to make money online, how to actually design using typography and layouts and stuff. So a whole bunch of design stuff, like how to do texturing, how to create digital products, a whole bunch of stuff. But typically that's what I teach, like all the basics and the foundations, but actually how do we apply this practically in real world situations? And I give, real world client examples or a client brief where they can practice on. But that's typically what I teach when it comes to like design and branding.
Okay. And one time, could you tell the class what is the name of your academy and where they can find that at?
Yeah, sure. So the academy is called Mura Academy. It's a membership. You can check it out on my website at jeremymura.com, and you'll see a link there, and it'll say Mura Academy. But yeah, you can definitely check it out. I'm always happy to teach and help out people.
Awesome. I'm definitely gonna throw that up a little later. So what are the things that hit me while you was explaining all of this is I'm interested to know about your creativity. Like, how did you find it? Those who listen to the show and who has been in the classroom knows that I'm a huge fan of creativity.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you find your creativity?
Good question. For me, I believe everyone's creative. Everyone's born creative. It's in their nature. It's in their nature, right? Just some people, when they're growing up, they've been oppressed and suppressed by the schooling system, which I think is broken, which it doesn't allow people to think and be creative. They're actually just taught to, study for an exam and that's it. Like if you fail, you're in trouble, whatever. But I believe everyone's creative by their nature. But for me, really, I tap into everything, man. So the way I get creativity is I don't just go online and look at blogs like Behance and Dribble and Pinterest and Google. Like I get like images and inspiration from there. But for me, I get inspiration from movies. I get it from games. When I'm, even listening to podcasts, I follow other YouTubers, Gary Vee or Tim Ferriss, Tony Robbins. Like listening to other entrepreneurs and mentors helps me get creative. Looking at other designers as well really helps me like get some ideas when I'm working on a project. So I really just believe it's everywhere, even in nature, man. Nature is beautiful. We can gather so much information and just stuff from it. So it's all about being an observer. Once you start observing every part of life, you can literally get inspiration from everywhere. So that's how I sort of approach creativity. I don't just have one resource. Like I don't just have one book I go to, but even though I have books, you can see on my shelf over there, I have like over 100 books. But yeah, it's all about just getting it from everywhere and just, being a receiver, and just getting all that different types of content and knowledge.
Okay. So, with you saying that, is it safe to say that you do get some inspiration from kangaroos, even though they're not in your backpack? I've been waiting for a moment to throw that in.
Wow, I knew it. Yeah, 100%, man. Kangaroo is awesome. I should actually do a Instagram carousel on one maybe.
Man, I've been waiting for that moment. I ain't know if it was gonna come or not, but I'm glad it came.
Good timing, bro. Good timing.
Thank you. I've worked hard on it. So, with your school and everything, right? Well, first, let me come back to this. With those who are brand new and starting their businesses, or those who already have their businesses already going, rocking and rolling, what are some tips that the people could take away to put into their business starting their day that could maybe move the needle for them or just change things around for them?
Mm. One of the first things that you should do is actually set up a separate bank account, like a business bank account, because you got to start making habits that get you in the mindset that you are a business, that you're not just a freelancer, you're not just a person, you're not a hobbyist. Like if you're taking this thing seriously, then you got to shift a few things, right? So number one, create a new bank account that will help you out. Start investing in books and courses that's going to help your business. So don't see it as an expense, see things as investments. So for me, I bought a lot of books. When I started my business in 2016, so I've been doing this stuff for a while now. I spent money on courses and masterminds and just learning as much as I could. And you got to be an ever learner, always learning. So that's going to help you out. Then start thinking about what your offering is. So like, what do you want to do? Do you want it to be a service-based business? Are you offering digital products? Maybe you're doing consulting. Really dig down and pick a niche. You got to really specialize, because a lot of people when they start up, they just become a generalist and they just offer too many things and they actually confuse their market. If you try and speak to everyone, you end up reaching no one. So you really need to figure out your offer, figure out your positioning in the market. Are you a premium brand? Are you a discount brand? Who are you going to target? And really and specialize and find a spot or a gap, like on something that's your specialty or something that you're within your area of expertise. And I feel like if you just start to do a few of these things, it's going to help you move the business forward, and also start talking to people, because at the end of the day, business is about people. Even sales is about people. It's about having conversations. So you can actually start talking to your friends and family and say, hey, I'm launching this new business. I would love to see if I can serve you or help you, right? Don't be needy. Don't be desperate. Be in a position where you're positioning yourself as someone who can help someone else. So talk to your friends, ask your family, ask if they have a business or need a service, or, and just start having conversations with people and connect with other businesses around you in the local area and online, and start building your online presence. Build your social media as well. Jump on Instagram or LinkedIn. They're probably my two suggestions, but try and find a few platforms that you can, work on every few hours a day and start building your brand. And it will take time. I'll be honest, it does take time. It takes hard work, but that's where I would start off if I was starting it fresh.
Are you tired of being bogged down by HR tasks? Well, it was Gusto to the rescue. Their HR software is like a superhero for small business owners. It helps you manage payroll, benefits, and HR compliance with ease. Plus, it's so simple to use, even a penguin can figure it out. Not that penguins are known for their business savvy, but they are pretty smart birds. So why wait? Give Gusto a try and watch your HR tasks melt away like ice cream on a hot summer day. Check it out at our resource page at genesisprojectpodcast.com/resources. Man, I love that. I love that. Let me. So I have a quick story. So my background is in tech, right? So IT stuff, right?
Yeah, cool.
A buddy of mine and I, actually, he was a former guest professor on the show. Guest professor,
Cool.
well, I call him Spike, Spike Spielberg. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Me and him, we got together and we started a company called Netwear Technical Solutions, and it was pretty much just a IT shop, right?
Yep.
Where our business model, instead of people calling us when things break, our business model is, if you don't get a call from us, then everything's good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So instead of us being reactive, we was more so proactive. And we charge every month and everything else like that, right?
Yep. Amazing.
And at the time, his girlfriend, his girlfriend had his girlfriend's mother or father, one of them, had offered this guy, or offered this place to us, you know.
Yep.
And she told me where the place was, and I was very familiar of the place. I knew exactly where this place was. And she said, "Oh yeah, you know, I know the name of the guy who owns this little place, whatever. You know, you guys can talk to him." I said, "Yeah, all right, cool." But once we left the house, I told him, "No, we're not doing that, because I know exactly what she's talking about. This area." So this guy had this storefront, but he had so many things going on in the storefront. Like, he was a computer sales store, and then he was also selling art, and then he was teaching classes there, you know.
Crazy.
And and to me, it was like, no, I can't attach my name to this. I can't attach our business name to this, because people gonna be confused. They're gonna look at it like, okay, what are you guys? You know, do you sell computers? Do you, you know, teach art classes? Like, what are you? You know? So everything that you mentioned there, specifically being specific in what you want, not being general, I can definitely understand that. You definitely gotta hit that home. You know,
100%.
somebody once said that the riches is in the niches.
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
Yes.
You got
So it's important that you really niche down and figure out what specific thing you want to put out to the community, to sell or service or what have you. You know, everybody could have a Family Dollar, or sorry, let me be more international for you. Everybody can have a Walmart, right?
Yeah, okay, I get it.
What makes Walmart's different from, you know, from your specific little Walmart with your own little name on it? Walmart got a bunch of dollars behind them. You know what I'm saying? However, if you make your one store sell just, I don't know, just home products, for example, right? That makes you stand out a lot more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we could look at other brands as well, man, to add on to that. Like, look at McDonald's. What do we know McDonald's for? Burgers, right? Big Macs. You know, if you look at KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, look at Nike. It's just sport gear and active wear. You know what I mean? You know, look at Lacoste. Their focus is on polos and shoes. So it's like, look at all the big brands in the world, like Apple, Microsoft, like you can name heaps of them. They're all focused on a specialized niche, you know, and they're focused, obviously, because they're gigantic brands, they branch out, right? But, you know, they all have a core product that they all started with. So it's a lesson for everyone starting up a business. Be specialized. It doesn't mean you have to do that thing forever. You can always change later on. You can always shift the path a little bit. So don't feel like you're putting yourself in a bubble, because specializing is just better. You can charge more. You can be more focused, because, you know, you'll know who to target, and you'll know where to go to, you know, find your audience and find people to buy your product.
Yeah. I think that's good. You know, staying along those same lines, I want to know what's a good brand and what's a bad brand, so that we can identify how we need to move forward with our own businesses and things of that nature, right? So how can we put out there a good brand versus us putting out just, you know, some bad stuff and being viewed as a bad brand?
Yeah. Well, number one, a brand should have a promise, right? So whatever that promise, that X factor, whatever that thing is to their audience and their customer, right? So it needs to have a brand promise, then it needs to keep that promise. Secondly, the way the brand positions themselves should come into alignment with how the audience or the outside world sees that brand. So if you want your brand to seem creative and innovative and friendly and welcoming and excellent, right? Then when your customers or people experience your brand, they should have those same thoughts. And that's when you have brand alignment. So your promise is aligning with their perception of your brand, because branding is all about perception. It's in the mind of the consumer, because value is based on how someone sees a brand or sees a business, right? And then obviously all the other little nitty gritty and stuff, but it comes down to that. That's, if you get that right, then you're going to have a solid brand. Then secondly, I would say have good messaging and a solid brand identity. You know what I mean? Like, So a logo is great, but you need all the working parts working together to have a great experience. It should be focused on a great user experience, right? So when someone lands on your website, is it consistent with your Instagram? Is it easier to find the buttons? Is it easier to find your products? Is it easy to contact you? You know, do they have to go through so many pages and things to find your, like, a buy button? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, think of the whole user experience. Is it professional? Is it excellent? Do I get a good feeling? You know, a good example is like the Apple Store. When you walk in the Apple Store, what do you see? People, you see workers with a nice shirt. They're willing to help. They come and ask you for help. You know, they have great products displayed right in front of you. You can look at it. So, and then when you go on their website, it's really easy to navigate and add add-ons. If you want to buy an iPad or a MacBook, you can add stuff. It's really simple, really clean, minimal, right? So that overall experience is working for them. So that's what I would say makes a good brand. There's a lot of moving parts and things, but those are a few things that I'd suggest that makes a good brand.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's such good stuff that has me thinking, what am I doing good and what am I doing bad?
Yeah, we all have something to improve, you know, even me, you know, I'm always tweaking and improving things. So yeah. Let me ask you this. Again, trying to keep in mind that you are in Australia. Do you know what Chick-fil-A is? Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. I didn't want to just assume. So my wife and I, it's so ironic you speaking on Apple because my wife and I, we was at a Chick-fil-A the other day.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because you spoke on Apple, it kind of made me think about this conversation that my wife and I had about Chick-fil-A, right?
Mm-hmm.
The difference between Chick-fil-A and like Popeyes,
yep.
right? Is the chicken really better? You know, to each their own, right?
Yes.
But what makes the experience better, right?
That's right.
Chick-fil-A, they brand themselves off that Southern hospitality, right?
Yes.
And then Popeyes, even though they're from the South, you know, different type of experience.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
Interesting.
And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the experience at Chick-fil-A, for whatever reason, makes the food taste better. I don't know. I don't know.
And it could be the positive energy. It could be the fast service. It could be the smiling cashier. It could be, you know, the brand identity, the colors, the wrappers, you know, it can be any of these things. And a lot of these things are subconscious, right? Because I remember there's a quote by Marty Neumeier in his book, The Brand Gap. It's an amazing book. He says, a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. So it's like, it's probably that good, positive gut feeling even when you walked into Chick-fil-A. So it's awesome how you mentioned that.
Yeah. And mainly because, you know, it's great service. And my wife and I, we visited a few Chick-fil-A's out of Michigan, as well as inside of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, just because I said them, I'll stick with them. Popeyes, right?
Yep.
There's a difference between the experience and the service that we get from Popeyes in our area, you know, which the service may not be good in the city, inner city. The service is not always there. However, when we get outside the city, the service is
better,
a tad bit better. But when we go down south, the service is like
amazing.
You know what I'm saying? But with Chick-fil-A, service is great across the board.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's in the city or out the city, in the state, out the state. The service is just amazing.
Yep. That's it. And that's all about the brand promise. They're keeping to their brand culture. So they have an internal, every brand should have a brand culture. So the internal team and each thing. So it's like, it's a franchise. It's consistent in how they train their staff and the messaging and everything. And it's all about brand consistency and stuff, man. So it's like, it's amazing how you actually saw an example of how the overall experience just makes it better. And that's why you'd choose Chick-fil-A over Popeyes, you know, and that's branding, man. It's really cool. It's really interesting.
Yeah. If I could figure out if I could steal, let me not say steal.
Secret recipe.
everybody's going to be out here. If I could somehow borrow that training on how they keep the customer service the same across the board, no matter where they at,
Amazing.
I would repackage it and sell it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you would. So good, man.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know you kind of hit on this a little earlier, but I want to dig a little bit deeper if we could. I want you to tell me or tell the class, what do you hope to achieve by teaching people how to become brand identifiers from your academy?
Yeah, so for anyone who wants to become a brand identity designer, it's all about what I want to really teach is how to be objective about the process, how to take a brand from like nothing and creating something. And when we say brand, it could be a small business or a one-man shop. It doesn't matter. It could be a medium-sized business, but really teaching them how to, do a discovery session, extract the information, then build stylescapes, then go from that to designing an amazing timeless logos, and then creating brand assets that actually add value to the whole experience. And what I want them to achieve is just how to do the whole process from scratch, because some places don't really teach you the whole process. Obviously there's amazing teachers out there and stuff, but I feel like practically sometimes being a beginner, they don't show you how to actually do it. Like how do you talk to clients? How do you, pitch a brief? How do you get less revisions? And how do you, use photography or typography or colors or texture to make the brand look a certain way or feel a certain way, So that's really what I wanted to help them with, is just take them and show them the whole process and how they can create a brand identity from scratch, and digging into the why, being strategic, and, obviously marketing and branding are similar. It's all interconnected. Design is connected with all that, but yeah, just how you combine everything together to make a holistic experience. And just at the end of the day, it's just going to make brands and businesses more better, so they can connect better with their audience, right? It's all about the audience and just making the experience just so much better.
Are you tired of spending hours trying to create a sales funnel that actually converts the sales? Well, say goodbye to the headaches and hello to Drop Funnels. Their platform makes it easy to create professional, high converted sales funnels with just a few clicks. And the best part, it's so intuitive, even a 3-year-old could use it. Not that we recommend you getting a 3-year-old to run your business. So why wait? Give Drop Funnels a try and watch your sales soar to new heights. Check it out at our resources page at genesisprojectpodcast.com/resources.
I will say that Simon Sayket's TED Talk on Start With Why.
Yep.
And let me see, the other one was Why Good Leaders Eat Last. For me, it was I very close to life changing. It definitely opened my eyes. And I would suggest anybody in the class to go check out those TED Talks. The guy is amazing. The way his insight and the way he explains stuff is just like, just crazy. It's just
amazing.
crazy. Yeah.
It's very, very smart man.
Yeah. You could definitely tell that. So I want to get into some deeper, potentially harder questions for you.
All right, let's do it. Let's go.
So, what is the one thing you wish you knew before you became an entrepreneur?
The one thing I wish I knew. I'd say probably the amount of grit and tenacity you need, like perseverance. Obviously, I understood that, great things take time.
Mm-hmm.
Good mediocre things and small things, they a lot of people want they just want the microwave society. They want something quick and easy, but I realized there's no shortcuts, right? So understanding that it was going to take me like, 4 to 5 years to really start hitting the big goals and the dreams that I envisioned for like ages ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, I feel like that would have been better. Obviously, I was reading a lot of self-help books, so like I knew a lot of the practical and like, the things about being an entrepreneur. It takes hard work. You need patience. Like I used to listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and you started Wine Library. He was doing videos for like 10 to 20 years before anyone noticed him on social media. Do you know what I mean? Now he's like, he's big and blew up, right? So I guess, for beginners out there and startups, you need to really know that you're going to need grit. You're going to need tenacity, where you shouldn't give up, right? People give up too early. Just realize it's a long-term game. It's not short-term. It's all about the long-term game. So for me, if I knew that earlier, then I would have taken maybe, I would have built better systems earlier and stuff to make things more efficient for me. That's what I would have done. But yeah, that's the one thing that I wish I knew a little bit earlier.
Yeah, that's good. I'll it's funny you mentioned systems, right? I'm in a position now where, well, let me start with this. When I started the Genesis Project podcast,
yep,
I started with the end in mind, right? And I heard that phrase all my life, right? Mostly in sports, through Little League football, high school football, and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounds cool, but I didn't realize it didn't really hit home with me until I started the Genesis Project podcast. And I say that because when I started the Genesis Project podcast, I knew that at some point I'm going to start offloading some of the things that I do for this to somebody else to do it, right? So I had to think as if everything was already said and done, and work backwards, right? And that's how I started creating my policies and procedures and everything like that for the show. So with that being said, I've created like a master document of 40 pages of everything that I do for this show, right? And then once I did that, I started extracting bits and pieces of it and created just micro processes. Right. So the way I post to social media, the way I edit a episode, you know what I mean? The way I reach out to potential guest professors, everything. The way I write a blog for the show, everything, right? Now, what exactly am I going to pass off? I don't know. I don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? But I just know that when I'm ready to pass something off, like let's say for instance, editing. When I'm ready to pass off editing to somebody, then all I need to do is go back to those policies and procedures that I wrote in the very, very beginning. I might have to tweak some things, update a few things, but I could just give it to them and say, okay,
run with it.
This is what I want you to do, and this is how I want you to do it. It just created a mini me.
Yep.
And
Amazing. That's it.
And so by you bringing that up, it made me think on how amazing it felt for me to create those policies and procedures at the very beginning. Because I've had a couple of people come in and help me with a few things, and instead of me, and instead of me taking, let's say, a few days for me to teach them how to do my process, right? I could just give them this document and say, okay, read this, study this. This is how I do it. If you feel like you can make it better, fine. But if you can't, just stick to this process. That's it.
Perfect. I think that's great. One of my I think that's awesome, man. I think one of my friends was talking about, he's from the US as well. He was talking about that he has SOPs, which is like standard operating procedures. And it's basically what you're talking about. You have a system or a process of how you certainly do something, and you offload it to you know, a freelancer or someone you're outsourcing something to, you know, and you can apply, it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, like you can literally use it and it will save you so much time. You know, business is all about saving time. And there's a cool quote from there's a book by Michael Gerber, The E-Myth. He says, it's better to work on your business, not work in your business. And what he's saying there, he's like, focus on building systems so the business can run by itself or run efficiently, right? And once you do that, like things will just be a lot better for you in the future.
Yeah, that is a good book. That was literally the first book I started reading when I started my IT shop. You know, that for me right there, that book was a game changer.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah. So for you, those in the class, make sure you check out The E-Myth. It is an amazing book, especially if you're brand new into the entrepreneurial space, or you just try and jump into the entrepreneurial space. That is one of the first books that I would recommend to people for you guys to read. Yeah. So I heard you mention this earlier, that you have a wife, and we all know the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much more trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur and being married at the same time. So with that being said, how do you find the balance in your life?
Good question. I think I always get this question, man. Yeah, and we don't have kids yet. We're gonna have kids soon in the future, which is gonna be awesome. So we still have time for ourselves, but for us, it's all about, like, my wife is an entrepreneur as well. She has a beauty cosmetic brand, which is really cool. So she does that on the side. She has a YouTube channel.
Just a quick shout out. What's her brand?
Her brand is Glow by Michelle Mura. So she's on Instagram. You can check her out. She also has a website, Glow by Michelle Mura.
Okay.
Yeah, she sells like lipsticks and palettes and stuff. So any ladies, I don't know if she's shipping to the US yet, but yeah. Anyway, so she does that. She has a YouTube channel. So we both have same beliefs, the same belief systems. You know, we have the same faith. We have the same ideas about business. So that's really good. So when we're working, we understand that we've got projects and stuff. And my wife understands that, you know, I have a big brand and stuff. So she's cool with that. But in terms of like balancing, we go to the gym together. So gym really helps get clarity, clears our mind. You know, you got to look after all three parts of yourself: your body, soul, and your spirit. You can't neglect, you know, your body and just focus on knowledge. You got to build everything. So going to the gym helps. On the weekends, we hang out. So we'd like to go out to dinner or go to a movie. During the week, we actually like to get a massage together, like once a month. Go get a Thai massage. It's actually really good, like, and so many benefits for it, but it's really relaxing. So that's a cool couple activity just to like wind down. What else? For me, I play a little game, some games to you know, work hard, play hard. So that's really cool. Or just we watch some Netflix and kick back and just eat popcorn, you know. So there's just, you got to have fun. You got to do fun activities, but also be willing to work as well. And that's how we find the balance, bro. You just, yeah, mixing it up, working, but also just doing fun stuff, taking the weekends off, and yeah.
Awesome. Just know, I hate for your wife to come across this episode and for you to mention her and for you not to give her a shout out. So, you know.
Yeah, she'd be like, wow.
Yeah, thank me later for that.
Nah, she's sweet. She's lovely.
So, I you know, being an entrepreneur, I know I can testify to this, and I'm pretty sure you can too. What is the biggest mistake you've made as an entrepreneur?
Biggest mistake I made. I don't know. Like, I don't really regret any of my decisions, because I believe all the decisions you make up to this point has helped me in some way, right? Because, you know, as I believe trials and challenges and tribulations and mistakes are just learnings, and it builds faith, it builds perseverance, it builds grit inside of you, builds character. So all those things are really, really cool. But I'd say, yeah, one of the bigger mistakes is probably not validating or testing things quick enough and not doing enough research. So for example, on YouTube, when I first started out, I wasn't doing much like keyword research. So I miss out on a lot of opportunities of getting some viral videos. And I've only started doing research like the past 2, maybe 3 years. And now like my videos are picking up. But when I first started out, I was just creating whatever I thought like I liked or whatever was necessary, like I thought people wanted, right? But you need to research and see what's the pain, what are people struggling with? What are the pain points out there? What do people need? So then you can make products that actually appeal to that need instead of just making things for just the sake of making. So I'd say probably that's my biggest learning, is invest time into researching, validating products very early before investing time into like building stuff or making a video or making a digital product. And I feel like that would have saved me so much time and stuff like that.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. You know, I won't go into that story. I'll just move on to the next one.
All right. That's the stories.
I got tons of them.
Tons, right? Yeah. I know.
So what is something personal that you want the class to know about you that cannot be found on Google or Wikipedia, in your case, YouTube?
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever gotten that question before on a podcast. Something personal. I share a lot about myself, man, online. Like a lot of people know about me because I'm just so open and honest. Something personal. I have a brother. His name's Anthony. He's 1 year younger than me. And sometimes we play games together online. We play games, which is all right. What else? Something personal. I don't know. My parents are divorced when I was young. I still like. I still know both of them and I hang out with them. But yeah, I feel like that's one thing that forms my beliefs early on and helps me be strong, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's really it, man. Apart from like, I'm very open guy. If you see me on Instagram, you'll notice I do stories every day, all the time, doing tips and showing the behind the scenes. So yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. You know, I have a brother too. I have a few brothers.
Awesome.
But the one brother I have, he's 2 minutes younger than me.
2 minutes. Oh, wait,
Yeah,
you're
you
twin?
caught that.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah. I have a identical twin brother. He's a veteran of the Air Force, and actually, at the time of this recording, for the class to know, I did do an episode with him. Because honestly, people might think I put him on just because he's my brother. But more so, he has a lot of awesome stories. Like he was like I said, he was an Air Force veteran, and half of his time that he served, he spent in DC and had some really awesome jobs. Like he had a chance to talk to POWs, foreign dignitaries, spec ops, 4-star generals, like, and me being me, I have a bunch of questions I would ask them, and I'm glad. Yeah, and I'm glad my brother was there because he asked a lot of the questions that I would have asked, not knowing. You know what I mean? So, man, just amazing stories. And I had a blast pretending to be him a few times. Just one, because he's my twin, and two, because of the job that he had when he was in the service. He had a picture of him and Michelle Obama and Jill Biden.
Yep.
And he's working there in the background. I'm like, yeah, I'm going around telling people, yeah, that's me right there. That's me. So just for that, if my brother, if he's listening, I appreciate that.
Such a good guy. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. I love it about family first,
Yes. So we're getting down to the last few questions. So actually, to the last question,
let's do it.
I want you to tell the class. Well, I want to know, what is the one takeaway that you want the class to walk away with from this lesson?
Yep. So for everyone, every student listening, my one takeaway is that believe that anything is possible. You know, everyone starts with nothing. Everyone starts with zero, you know. Obviously, there's people that grow up in families that have wealth, whatever. But majority of people, like, we all start from somewhere, you know, and just believe anything is possible. If I can do it, and then you can do it. You can build a business. Just keep in mind that you just need to have faith, believe in yourself, work hard, because nothing comes easy. But just stick with it and persevere. And I feel like once you have that mindset that you can believe that anything is possible, I can achieve anything, then it's going to push your boundaries. It's going to just push your limits, and you're going to just take more risks, you know, because it's all about stepping out there, just living your life to the full, you know. Take advantage. You know, you're on this planet, you're blessed to have a life. Just take full advantage of it, go hard, and just completely believe in yourself, because you can do anything. You have the power. You have all the things, every power and potential within you. You just have to tap into it. So that's the last takeaway I would say to anyone who wants to start a business, who wants to build wealth, to go out there and just take on the world.
Love it. I love it. That is, I couldn't have said that better myself.
Thanks, man.
So I want you to just tell the classroom where they can find you at. Are they going to find you near the nearest kangaroo or
zoo, local koala park?
Yeah, you know, I had to throw that one back in there. Tell the people where they can find you at.
Hey, man, kangaroos are actually cute. There's a thing in Queensland, up the coast. There's a park where you can actually feed the kangaroos. They give you pellets and they'll eat out of your hand, bro. They're so cool. Amazing animals. Anyway, yeah, you guys can find me at the Jeremy Mura. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Skillshare if you want to take my classes on there. You can check me out at jeremymura.com as well if you want to check out Mura Academy or some of my products in my shop. And I'm also on YouTube. Just search my name, Jeremy Mura, or Jeremy Mura Design. And yeah, you'll find heaps of content on there. And come say hi, DM me. Always happy to have a chat.
Awesome. I appreciate you for coming out to the class, man. And I do have some things in mind for us to work on in the future. And I would love to discuss that with you. And I would love to support you in any way I can, brother. So, you know,
Awesome.
Anything I can do, just let me know. If you got something big coming out, let me know first. No, let me know second. Tell your wife first, and then let me know.
Wife was always first, man.
Yeah, I'm learning that. I'm learning that.
We're always learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life.
But
Awesome, man.
again,
Thanks so much.
I do appreciate you, man. It's a you class. You heard all of these awesome lessons, all of these awesome tips that he dropped. You know, who's to say that we can't be bigger, we can't be better brands than those that we come across already? You know, so with all the tips, all the notes that you guys have taken, make sure you take that and implement it into your business lives, into your personal lives, so that you could be better as well. And as I always say at the end of these things, you know, dang it, man, you made me mess up just by you smiling, man.
Yeah, I'm a happy guy. My pleasure.
It's all good. It's all good. As I say at the end of these things, man, you know, in everything that you do and everything that you chase after, make sure you chase after it with violent action. Class has concluded, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time.
See ya.
About 15 years ago, I hated where I was at, and I knew that I was meant for more. Greatness even. I wanted to start a business, and I asked my friends and family, how do I start a business? 90% of them never started a business before, and the 10% that didn't remember what they did. So I went on and earned my bumps and bruises from the School of Hard Knocks. My inspiration for the School of Hard Knocks and the courses that I've created was to reach people that felt the same way that I felt way back when. Like I was destined for more. The purpose of the Genesis Project podcast was to move those same people toward that greatness with the guest professor that comes to the show and learn from their mistakes. This is a call to action to those who are searching for greatness. Join the School of Hard Knocks by commenting, sharing, subscribing, and get this message out to those searching for greatness. Click on the links in the description to get more information. And everything you do, everything that you chase after with violent action. I'll see you in the hallway.